Hey everyone, Brian Ferguson here. Sorry for the extremely informal setting of me sitting on my bed in a t-shirt recording a message about insurance. As some of you may know, I took a really nasty fall and destroyed my knee. Um, Torn meniscus, patella, pulled the quadriceps muscle off the bone, tibia displacement fracture, etc. And I'm going physical therapy and rehab and everything, and just it's been a nightmare. Um, so I'm literally just getting back on my feet, and you can't see in this. A lot of you haven't met me face to face, but I'm disabled. I wear leg braces anyway. Like picture the early scenes of Forrest Gump. Anyone else would just hop around, but this was just completely debilitating for me. I even got, you can see the corner of my wheelchair over there, which I didn't even own a wheelchair until this happened. Anyway, so I'm working from my bed, at least the foot of my bed. I make the bed nicely so it's like a desk. Wanted to touch in with you and check in with you this year about the what we expect to see in the individual insurance market here in California for 2024. And we're coming up to that time of year. A number of you have reached out to me regarding the renewal. And I want to start off right up front by saying I can't run quotes for you until early November. California allows the insurance carriers to not tell the quoting entities, the companies where brokers like myself go to get quotes for all the carriers. Um, Carriers don't have to tell their rates to those entities until the last day of October, and they don't. Literally, right now in the month of October, all of the carriers out there are just scrambling to get consumers to sign up to stay on their current plan, knowing that psychologically, if you check a box and say, I'm just going to stay on my current plan, I don't care if it's a 15% rate increase or 10% or whatever, that you probably won't look at competitive rates. And so what we see is carriers right now trying to get everyone to stay on their plan, and then at the last possible moment, literally October 31st at 4:55 p.m., they give the rates out publicly. And so I will be able to run quotes for you if you need that in the first few days of November. So that's really the time that I can come in and say, hey, here's what you currently have. Let's look at all the alternatives out there, because it's just not public knowledge right now. So for those of you who've already reached out to me, please hang tight. I'll get you the quotes in a couple weeks. We'll have that for you in the beginning of October, or excuse me, beginning of November. So what we're looking at overall in California, Covered California came out and said we're looking at about a 12.5% rate increase. There have been some carriers that have come out and said even larger than that. Blue Shield came out recently and said their average rate increase is 15%. Again, with all these things, whenever you start talking about averages, how does that impact your specific plan? We don't know, because you may have HMOs are going to be different from PPOs. Fresno is going to be different from Los Angeles, which is different from San Francisco, which is different from San Diego, right? So an average of 12.5%. We're going to see some plans that only go up 7 or 8%. We're going to see some plans that go up 20%. I've already had a client call me with a 20% increase. So these things are out here. What's causing this rate increase? It's actually threefold. First is just inflation in general. What we're seeing is across the board, obviously, inflation is inflation. Employees are earning more, everything costs more. And the insurance carriers, of course, and as with any other big company, they pass that along to us as consumers. I think a little bit of it is the because we can fee. Oh, we're having 6% inflation. Let's raise rates 9%. That kind of thing is going to be part of it. But the biggest impact, frankly, is a rebound effect, kind of an echo from COVID. What we're seeing is a bunch of people getting diagnosed with medical expenses that for things that would have been diagnosed in 2020 and 2021, except everybody who didn't have COVID stayed the hell away from their doctor and their in hospitals and things. So what we're getting is a surge of people who are getting first-time diagnosis of cancer, and it's stage 3, right? Whereas maybe that cancer would have been caught in a checkup and blood work back in 2020, and they're finally going back to their doctor, and they're going, whoa, you have cancer and it's all over the place, which is much more expensive to treat, and of course the life expectancy is lowered. So we're seeing a lot of cases of that, and cancer being the most significant one. But what we're seeing is a huge spike in hypertension, in diabetes. because you've got people out there who would have gone and had their blood pressure taken and blood work done back in 2020, and they would have said, hey, you're pre-diabetic, maybe we should work on this, we should work on that, and maybe they could have cut something off, headed this off at the pass. But now it's 3 years later, and they're finally going to the doctor, and they're like, whoa, you got diabetes. So what we're getting is much higher than expected utilization of medical, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. People just didn't go to the doctor for 2 full years. And just untreated hypertension, untreated diabetes, people who knew they had it, but they just didn't go get their prescriptions renewed. That's rampant as well. So you put all that together, and carriers are paying for a lot more in the way of expenses, which leads to the third factor, which I think probably is a smaller factor, but still a thing. Long COVID is a legit thing. I've got two personal friends who are getting their butt kicked right now by long COVID. And it settles in, and 2 years later you think you had a mild case of COVID, but all of a sudden you got no stamina, or you feel like you've got dementia, because it's settled in your brain, and you've got this massive brain fog that from a little mild case of COVID that you had 2 years ago. So it's not that everyone has long COVID. There's only, I think I saw something recently, I believe it was like 240, 250,000 people in California. But when you take the medical bills for those people times that many people, it adds up. And so, between inflation, the echo of COVID, and the long COVID, we're seeing carriers raise their rates like crazy. Um, so what are we going to do about this? The answer is we're going to look at alternatives. Everything has gone up. Health Net, for those, most of my business is in San Diego, and for those of you who go to Scripps, your options have been the Scripps, excuse me, the Blue Shield PPO and the Health Net HMO. And what we're seeing is a dramatic increase in both of those. Some of the Blue Shield PPO plans have gone up 19-20%. And you used to pay $800, all of a sudden you're paying $1,000. Um, HealthNet has, I'm seeing some of the some of the renewal rates, um, and it's gone up as well. And now I got a HealthNet story to tell you. And this is a tough one. It's just myself. It's with my knee. I have HealthNet HMO. It's got a great value. It's got a great price. I go to Scripps. And part of what I needed help with was home health care. And, for anybody else, you blow out your knee and you can just hop around on the other leg and use one of those little wheelie carts. I can't do those things. Without both legs, I can't walk at all. And, I live with my nearly 80-year-old mother, and she helps me out a lot. And I became suddenly a dead weight lift. I can't walk. I can't even stand up without both legs. And, thankfully I've got neighbors and friends who came over and would help me. They'd literally lift me from a wheelchair into my shower, and, I could pose off every once in a while and that kind of thing. But eventually, you can only do that for so long without alienating some people. And so I have a friend who owns a home health care agency, and so he gave me good guy rates, and he's been sending somebody out to just brute force lift me onto the toilet and lift me into the shower, and that's been very helpful. But eventually my doctor says, well, why don't we get your insurance to pay for that? And so we went through 9 home health care agencies who all said, we understand that HealthNet has approved this, but we don't have the staffing for it. Until finally the ninth one came back and said, we are not staffing your claim because HealthNet does not pay their bills. And so we're not accepting HealthNet. Even though we're in the network, we're not accepting HealthNet insurance. This is the HealthNet HMO. And so my doctor, and this has all just happened in the last week, my doctor went back, my doctor's office, and called 4 of the previous home healthcare entities, agencies that had turned us down, and asked them and said, hey, off the record, and I'm going to go throw them under the bus because I'm freaking mad at HealthNet right now. We went and said, why did you, what's going on with that? And they said, yeah, HealthNet doesn't pay their bills. What? Um, and so we as a specialist are not accepting claims from HealthNet anymore. So it worked its way up in the Scripps system, and I now have a case manager, and I'm talking with their insurance claims department, and they made the comment that 80% of their claims that they're having problems getting paid for right now are with the Health Net HMO. I've sold a lot. I have a lot of the people watching this video right now, my clients, have Health Net HMO. And what I will say is, Scripps takes it, and on the big stuff, they seem to be fine. But when it gets into specialists and like home health care and things like that, they're not paying their bills. And the providers, the home health care entities, and rehab, physical therapy, that kind of thing, they're noticing. They're going, we're not getting paid on this. We're not going to take it. And I'm mad enough that I'm here talking publicly about it. You know, will your doctor take it? Yes. Can you go get an MRI with it? Yes. Will you need that specialist? Hopefully not. But if you do, will the insurance be there to cover you? I don't know. I can't say yes right now. And the bummer is, Health Net HMO's got the best prices in town. I mean, they're competitive with Kaiser. If you want to go to Scripps, that's why so many of my clients are on it. Having said that, way more expensive, but the Blue Shield PPO at least pays their damn bills. I'm hoping Health Net pulls their head out, pays some bills. You know, they said, I went to a seminar. I didn't go. It was a webinar like this recently, and they said, we know we have this reputation. We've got new ownership. We're trying to overcome the reputation. Please let us know. Well, I'm letting them know. I'm doing it publicly. They've pissed me off. So, having said that, if you're with HealthNet right now, I want to have a conversation with you. I'm not saying leave them. I just want your eyes to be open. Having said all of that, I apologize for rambling on for 12 minutes. But in the state of insurance in California, we're going to see a 12.5% increase on average. Most of the medical groups have stayed the same. Different story for Medicare, but I don't have Medicare clients. Medicare's really changed. Full Scripps stopped taking scan for the same reason with HealthNet. They just like, we don't get paid. But I don't do Medicare, so that doesn't affect my clients. If you have questions, please reach out to me. But just know I cannot give competitive quotes until the first week of November, and I will be in touch with you in November so that we can see what makes sense for you going forward into 2024. Thanks. Take care.